Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to Swift Nation. Welcome back to another reaction video, guys. That is right, it's been like months and months and months since the last reaction video. I apologize. I'm gonna like really try to get more of these videos out more consistently for you guys, because I know a lot of you really enjoy these, and they're really fun. And today we're gonna be reacting to 3 more disturbing field trip horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. So I will link the original video in the description down below if you guys want to go check it out for yourself. But quickly, before we actually hop into the video, I just want to mention that the upload streak is over. 200 days straight. I didn't upload yesterday. I just thought that it was time just to take a break. To upload a video for 200 days straight is absolutely insane. And it was a lot of fun. I was gonna go for this whole year, but I just really thought that I just needed a break just to, like, you know, catch up with myself a little bit, if that makes sense. Because like these last 6 months have been nothing but just literally just like on YouTube 24/7, always thinking of video ideas and what to do for the next day and stuff. So I just really thought I needed a break. So I hope you guys don't get too mad. I hope that's, like, you know, somewhat understanding, hopefully. But and content might be changing a little bit down the road. Like I might make an update video in the next week or what, in a couple days. I don't know. Content might be changing a little bit. But don't worry, you guys will still get reaction videos. More reaction videos are coming, trust me. And yeah, but anyway guys, I'm going to stop talking now, and we're going to react to this video. Again, the original video link will be in the description down below. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh boy. Alright, field trip stories, boys. Story 1.
In 7th grade, we took an end-of-the-year field trip to an aquarium near school. It was called Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. We live in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, a literal mountain town, with nothing but hills and mountains as far as the eyes can see.
Okay.
Our science teacher, Mr. Russo, was our chaperone for the trip. He was a very lax teacher, so while other teacher chaperones were more uptight and strict with their groups, Mr. Russo was more chill about his job. That may seem like a good thing, but because of his lackadaisical approach at supervising, my friend Aiden and I were able to easily bail from the aquarium lobby, away from the rest of the groups. We quite simply didn't want to wait so long for all the groups to move.
Why would you do that?
The whole aquarium was empty, except for our classes, so when Aiden and I walked through the passageways, or I guess observation areas as you would say, before everyone else, we didn't see anyone else. We got the best views at all the big fish tanks and habitats. We moved on to the next dark room, all of which were lit up with a dark blue tint from the fish tanks, by the way. This room had a lot of big tanks with tropical fish. We were making jokes about finding Nemo fish, like clownfish and the Dory fish, and that's when I remember someone calling "hey" to us in a very assertive, commanding voice. It was some guy in cargo shorts and a green t-shirt. He asked us if we were with the field trip. I was about to shake my head no, but Aiden said yes. The man told us to come with him right now.
Oh no.
We both assumed he worked for the aquarium, so we followed. He wasn't leading us back to the lobby though. He was leading us through some narrow, dark hallways.
Why would you keep following him?
I remember passing the bathrooms and a few exit signs hanging on the ceiling before reaching an exit door. He led us outside to some back area, I guess by the woods. I finally asked if he worked there and where he was leading us. He said yes, he did work there, and that he had to drive us back around to the front of the aquarium in order to be let back in. It made just as much sense back then as it does now, but we were 2 nervous 7th graders who thought we were about to get in serious trouble. So when he led us to his car, we willingly got in the back seats. He told us to strap in, and he pulled out from the back parking lot and onto the street.
Oh god.
Just as we thought he was going to make a right turn towards the front, he turned left.
Oh no.
Right away, both Aiden and I asked him where he was going at the same time. He didn't answer that question, but about 5 seconds later, we heard the locks to the back doors click down, and he made some kind of threat along the lines of, "If either of you try to make any moves, I'll kill you."
Wow.
He then proceeded to slide out what appeared to be a big knife in his glove box as some kind of threat. Aiden and I sat in silence. I'm sure he wanted to throw up just like I wanted to. We had to think of a way to escape. but we couldn't talk to each other because the man kept looking in the rearview mirror every other second. He was driving us uphill through some woodsy, isolated neighborhood until he finally pulled over onto the side of the road in what appeared to be the middle of nowhere. No houses, no through traffic. He told us to stay in the car as he got out, with his knife in his hand.
Oh my
Whispered to
god.
Aiden to be prepared to run as soon as I said to. The man came to my door, popped it open, and told me to step out. He told me to tell my friend that if he wants me alive, he better be in the car by the time we got back. I felt a deepening feeling in my stomach when I heard that. The man started walking me to the woods with the knife probably in his pocket, to do God knows what. I saw Aiden sliding over to my side of the car, which had an unlocked door, and when he seemed ready to run, I screamed, "Run!" Aiden was off already, running downhill. I easily dodged the man as I fled past him, following Aiden. The man tried chasing us on foot, and I'm not even kidding when I say he threw the knife at me.
He
This
did
with
not.
only maybe a few inches to spare. I heard the clanging of the knife hitting the ground ahead of me. I didn't stop to pick it up. I just kept running downhill in the direction we came. The man stopped following after throwing the knife. I think he got back in his car and fled the scene. We somehow managed to make it back to the aquarium in under an hour, and we also managed to sneak back into the group. Mr. Russo didn't even notice.
What?
Aiden and I decided to keep quiet about what just happened. What purpose would it serve getting ourselves in trouble, given that there was relatively no chance of that man getting
What do you
caught?
mean he didn't notice?
As we
We were
got
gone
older,
for,
we
like,
started to wonder more
at
and
least
more
half
what the
an
intentions
hour.
of that man were. We could obviously
Something I
think of a
didn't
few
know.
likely ones, but either way, we kept quiet about it and don't really like to think about it.
How does a teacher not notice if two students go wandering off? Didn't it say that multiple students do anyway? I mean, I guess...
When I was in 8th grade, all of my
Need some, like,
classmates and I
extra
looked
supervisors
forward
or
to our
something.
Washington, D.C. field trip.
Ooh.
The thrill of going on any sort of trip with your friends was enough to excite us. After all preparations, we were ready for DC. Once we arrived to our destination, my class of around 100 students were partitioned off into 3 groups.
Wow.
And within these groups were our 3 other hotel mates. Each group was sent off in different coach buses, and we would be taken to different attractions throughout DC, neighboring states, monuments, parks, food stops, museums, and more.
That's sick.
After a long weekend of visiting educational sites, our teachers decided to treat us to a colonial ghost tour one night. It was an evening walking tour through some of America's historical sites near village cemeteries and old townhomes. I
Interesting.
don't remember exactly which city we were in, but I remember the guides telling us that many of the empty homes were preserved due to their historical significance. I've always been scared of most things related to ghosts and such, but I was positive that nothing would happen in our ghost tour. We split
Don't be
off
so
into
sure about
smaller
that.
groups of around 10 members each, and were instructed to carry around a camera if we wished. The guide kept telling us not to expect much from the tour, that there would most likely be nothing supernatural during the course of the evening.
Why would a guide ever say that?
As we wandered from
Don't
colonial
expect
home
much
to
from this.
cemetery plot to colonial home, I just took interest in the histories that the guides would share of each home. They would indulge us in the stories of each homeowner, while my friends would snap away at photos, hoping to find a shiny orb. One of my
shiny
friends,
orb.
Jessica, that I was sharing a room with during that trip, was not one of the kids that were constantly taking pictures. She would take a photograph every once in a while, but spent most of the time listening. My group reached a small 2-story
Okay.
home in the middle of the street. The house had an ominous blue hue to the windows, but the house was vacant. I remember being very curious about this home. The tour guide began to tell us a little bit about the house. She had mentioned that the home had originally belonged to a man and his beautiful wife. He adored
Okay.
his wife, and the couple was thrilled to receive news that they would be expecting a child. Unfortunately, the wife had died after giving birth to a baby girl. The man was
Oh, no.
absolutely devastated and grew to resent his homely daughter. During her childhood, he kept her in the house as much as he could. He reminded her about how homely she looked and could not find her a suitor. Feeling that she had no other purpose, he had his daughter learn how to sew and weave upstairs, using her only good attribute, her hands. After hearing this
Wow.
story, I remember the sorrow that I felt for this girl. She and her father must have lived unhappily in that house until their deaths. My friend Jessica took a photograph of the house, and we both
That's
moved
rough.
on to the next house. I kept walking until Jessica stopped and became silent, looking down in her digital camera screen. I walked over and scanned the photograph. I saw a gleam coming from the edge of the second floor window on the right.
Oh,
I had her zoom on the scene.
God.
After zooming in, you could clearly see 3 figures staring out from the window. On the way right was the translucent outline of a woman. A taller man was standing behind her to the side. Even more curiously, there was a third figure. It appeared to be a woman, but she was harder to make out. The body was there for sure, but her skin was not as clear. Jessica and I freaked out. The first woman and man made sense to me.
Is that the real
Explained
photo?
The man and his daughter. But who was this third dark woman off the side? I raised my hand and had to ask the guide, was there ever another person that lived with this family at the house we just looked at? The guide looked surprised at my question and answered, yeah, during the time of their residence, they had a black female servant living with them.
That's freaking terrifying, dude. Can you imagine just taking a photo of a haunted house, looking at it and
Senior
seeing like
year of high school,
faces in
my
a window?
forensics teacher, Mr. Stevenson,
What would you do?
somehow convinced the school to let him take us on a
Book
field
it,
trip
man.
to some abandoned building in the woods that was the site of a major crime scene.
Why?
I think he might have finessed it a bit and made the school think we'd just be studying the perimeter and outside of the building, but we did much more than that. Mainly, it used to be a drug den. When we got there, I realized how frighteningly tall the building actually was, and its location was just surreal, surrounded by forest in every direction, and the only road that leads up to it is a road you would never think to drive down just because of the grass growing in the street. Since
Wow.
our current topic at the time of our class was dealing with drugs, Mr. Stevenson led us into the abandoned building. He gave a tour of the place as if he'd been there many times before, and he seemed to know quite a bit of history about the building. For example, that the actual original purpose of the building was unknown. Apparently, construction on the higher levels wasn't even finished before the building was abandoned. Its
Wow.
location and size made it ideal for drug deals and other illegal activity to take place, which surprised all of us since there we were, inside of this apparent former drug den for a school field trip. Mr.
Fun.
Stevenson was so laxed about this trip that he didn't even notice when a couple students wandered off to explore on their own.
Here we go again.
Or maybe he just didn't care. Given that a few other students did it, me and my friend Gianna, or G, decided to go off on our own too. And yes, I'm a guy. I just so happened to have a really close friend that was a girl back in high school.
Nothing wrong
There
with
had
that.
to be at least 8 floors in this building, but we saw from the outside the top few floors looked unfinished. I basically forced G to come all the way upstairs with me to the top few floors. Worst came to worst, we wouldn't be able to find the group again, and we just returned to the bus right outside. We climbed the stairs, one flight after another. It was weird. As we reached the middle floors, the amount of debris and graffiti lessened a bit, but then as we got to the higher floors, there was even more graffiti and litter than the lower floors. Then things got sketchy. It seemed we were on the second highest floor, and everything on this floor was still just wood foundation. A lot of it seemed to be rotting, and there were a lot of holes up there. We would have gone up to the last floor, but the stairs had been completely stripped and broken. Basically, there were no stairs to the last floor. There had to be a way up there, though. So we watched our step for weak wood as we navigated the floor. Then, Gianna grabbed my shoulder and stopped me. She pointed up at a hole in the ceiling and said she saw something.
Oh God,
There
just
was
get
a
out of
ticking
there.
noise. Like the kind of ticking noise a person makes when they're calling their cat or something. Followed by that, someone's arm came into view from the hole above us. Just their arm, though. And judging by the position of the arm, whoever's arm it was must have been laying down flat on the floor beside the hole. They had a long black sleeve on, so the only skin that was visible was their hand. G was scared. I laughed a little at first, but I'm not going to say it wasn't slightly unnerving.
Laugh? I'd be
Gianna
already out
started
of there,
telling me,
man.
let's go back down. I started calling up to the person, how do we get up there? They didn't answer. Instead, they just kept making the ticking noise and waving us up.
Why would you even want to talk
That's
to
when
them?
things started getting really creepy, and I agreed with G that we should go back down. Right after I said this, The person pulled their arm out from the hole, and we heard the sound of a shoe quickly scrape the wood foundation above us as the person was clearly getting up. We couldn't see though. I nudged Gianna to move. I was creeped out and just wanted to get back down. As we were about to leave the main open layout room and back into the stairway corridor, there was a crash far behind us. We turned and saw a man on the complete opposite side of the room, facing the wall. It seemed he just jumped through one of the holes.
Oh my god.
He then quickly turned his head to look at us, without moving his body.
Why aren't you running?
Something about his face and clothing. He didn't
Why
look
aren't you
like
running?
a typical urban exploration type. He looked dangerous and unstable. G and I ran for it now, down one flight of stairs at a time.
There you go.
3 flights down, I looked up the long corridor above us and saw the man at top looking down at me. I yelled go to Gianna. We kept going down. Like 5 flights later, I looked up again, and there was the man again, looking down at me. This time he seemed much closer, and I just realized he'd been chasing us.
You just realized.
We got to the bottom, and I looked up one more time, and I didn't see him this time. We heard the voice of Mr. Stevenson nearby, and I kind of started to laugh about what just happened. Not exactly because I found it funny, but because I was just happy that we made it back safely. G was not laughing, though. She was genuinely disturbed.
Oh,
We
I
found
would
Mr.
be.
Stevenson, who asked where we were, and we told the truth about what just happened. He was pretty mad at us, but given what we just told him, he also advised we should leave the building. The other kids who wandered off had returned, and when we got to the bus, Mr. Stevenson did a head count like 3 times. Overall, the trip wasn't a failure.
At least
for the
this
rest.
teacher's better than the
The
one in
other
the
kids
first
did
story
learn
at the
things about the
aquarium.
building and drugs, but for my friend Gianna and I, really, it was the most horrific thing we ever went through.
Dude, I don't even know, man. Some of the people in these stories literally make the worst decisions ever. Like in this last story here with the, like, if I, like, first of all, if I ever went on a field trip, I would never wander off, especially in a place that used to be a drug lab or whatever, like an abandoned building. Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? I would never wander off. I would stay with the group. Even if I was with a friend who loves exploring, or even if I, loved exploring things, I would never go wander off in an abandoned building. Like, that's just asking for trouble, man. Because people, like homeless people live in abandoned buildings half the time. So, like, high or low, because, like, I don't know, like, not all abandoned buildings, but, like, out of these stories, they seem to be, but I don't know, man. Like, if I would have seen a freaking hand coming out of a hole in the ceiling or whatever, wherever it was, I would have booked it. I would not have giggled or laughed. I would have grabbed my friend. I would have went like, Gianna or Gina, whatever her name was, we're getting out of here, pull her out, run. Get out of there. Because by the time they started running away, they could have been already out of there. They wasted like 2 solid minutes just staring at it. What is that? Oh my god, dude. Let me know what you guys would do in the comment section down below. This is why I love reaction videos, because some of the decisions that people make are beyond me. It's ridiculous, man. If I literally saw a hole, or if I literally looked up in my ceiling right there, and if I saw an arm reaching down, I wouldn't be like, would you look at that? It's an arm. No. I would have slammed my computer closed, would have grabbed my camera for good view and good vlog footage, and I would have booked it up the stairs and out of here. Oh my god. Alright, well anyway, I hope you guys all did enjoy this reaction video. If you guys did, be sure to drop a like. I will link the original video in the description down below if you guys want to go check it out again for yourself. But, and just to give credit to Mr. Nightmare, because he was awesome, he's amazing. And yeah, so I do want to have more reaction videos in the future, you guys. Later this week, stay tuned, or like somewhat in the next couple days. There might be content might be changing, no promises, but it might be like cutting down from every single day to a couple times a week, and like just put more effort into my content, because uploading every single day is not easy. But I'm gonna save all that whole topic for another video. But I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Saturday. Again, drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Peace out.
Pull the trigger. nobody gonna do for you. Pull the trigger, don't hesitate, just shoot.